Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I appreciate you taking the time to do so. I hope you like what you see, and I would love to know more about you and what you're stitching and all that kind of fun stuff. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you taking the time to stop by, to chat with me, to enjoy our stitching together. And as always, I love to know more about what's going on in your stitching world. Before I get started with the stitching that I have to show, I have just a couple of show and tell items to hit. First off, I wanted to say congratulations to Carla from Carla Being Crafty. She has been on Flosstube for 5 years. That is such an awesome accomplishment. And I mean, you put out videos every Sunday just about all the time. So I appreciate the time and the effort you've taken into doing your videos, and I so enjoy watching and catching up with you from week to week. So congratulations, and here's to many, many more years of cross stitch and Flosstube and all of that good stuff. Secondly, I put an extra video out this week. I said I was going to, but I didn't do the video that I said I was going to do. So I ended up doing, I had gotten my Just Cross Stitch Halloween 2024 magazine in the mail, and I said, oh, I want to do a flip through. I looked through it several times. I do my flip throughs a little different. It's really kind of cool. Some people do them and it's like their initial reaction kind of thing, and they just go through it. As soon as they get it in the mail, they sit down and they film. And I think there's at least 3 or 4 of those flip throughs already out there. But I look through it, I pore over it, I make my notes, I think about the patterns, and then I go with it. So I go in a little bit different route. When I did my very first flip through of the Just Cross Stitch, here it is right here, the summer issue, Just Cross Stitch magazine made a point of leaving a comment for me on my socials and saying that they really, really enjoyed my flip through. And so I was so encouraged, and I did this one, and again, this time they reposted on their stories about my video and said to go watch because they've enjoyed it. So really thankful for the encouragement that Just Cross Stitch has given me. And for all of you who have watched it, thank you so, so much for all of your support. Some people don't want an hour-long flip through. They just want to see the videos, and that's awesome. That's okay. I don't feel like, you have to be polite or something about watching me. If that's what you want, there are so many. I just like to talk about the patterns differently, so mine are a bit more in depth. And again, if you want that, that's great. If you don't, no problem. But I do talk about how if you are not a Halloween stitcher, but you get this as part of your subscription, don't fear. Well, I wouldn't say plenty, but there's at least 5, if not more, patterns that you could still do and make them your own in other ways. In fact, in the comments, somebody had even talked about one of the patterns that could be a spring pattern, which I thought was so genius. I hadn't thought about that. So there is lots and lots to take from this magazine, and I hope that you have enjoyed the flip through if you've watched it. Thank you so much for all of the wonderful feedback that you have given me, and Just Cross Stitch has really been a great support as well, the magazine, and so I do appreciate them taking the time to do that. So there will be more flip throughs in our future. Yay! Okay, so let's talk about our projects. I have mostly all my projects, except for this very first one you'll see, came from the Whip Warriors riff-off event that was this weekend, which I failed in my picture taking miserably, but I still participated because I love doing it. So I figure, it was a win for me. I just didn't post any of it on the Facebook page, but such is life. But the very first one I had done before I started the riff off. So I'm going to show you that one first, and then we're going to talk about all of the patterns that I did from there. Okay, so this first one is, the U.S. Quaker flag, and it is from Vivsters, and she has charted flags from I don't even know how many countries. And she did that because a stitch along started, I would say, I think it was January my friends in wasn't it Australia Day? It was the end of January, because the hosts of the Stitch Along are from that part of the world, and it's hashtag 2024 Quaker Flag Sal. And I will put the information down below. Wombat Hollow Crafts and Divinely Design Studio. I always have to kind of not think and say that fast. I apologize because I always stumble over your name. They hosted the Stitch Along, and then so many people from all over the world asked Vivsters to create flags, and she did so. And so there's lots of options, and you can probably join. I mean, this thing is going to be, for me, a multi-year project. So join on in, and if you are stitching a flag, let me know. I'd love to see it. Okay, so this is where I am. Let me show you the full. Really, I'm going to fold it over in a minute because, whoops, this is as far as I've got the border going. It's obviously going to be a long piece versus, you know, up and down. In fact, this right here, I'm going to fold this over now. This is the bottom. That's as far as it goes that way. I did get a question last time I showed this. If you look sometimes in the camera with the lighting, it does look like a blue fabric. It is a gray fabric. This is an 18 count Brave Boromir from Those Missing Stitches. It's a fantastic gray. If you look at it, obviously, because sometimes in the camera it looks blue, it is on the cooler kind of bluish gray tones, but to look at it in person, and if somebody would say, quick, what color is this? I would say gray. So just to kind of give you a heads up on that. But I love how the colors look so far. That's like a 939 that the border is in. Then you've got this other blue. The white, once I get to the stripes, the white is going to be on its own, and it's going to be fine within the, because you'll have white stripes and red stripes. The red I might change than the called for. I have to do a little tests in the fabric to see, so I don't have that one decided upon yet. But I really do like this gray. I think I could use, this is going to use this piece up. I'm going to have to see when Lynn has it available again and order some more, because I really do enjoy it. This, I did a combination when I don't have the ability to think, I suppose, like if I'm zooming or I'm watching something that is taking more of my attention, I'm doing fill-in. And then I decided that I had some more time. In fact, I think I did the fill-in. We have a needlework group here in my neighborhood. There was only 2 of us the last time we met, but it was really lovely just talking, just the 2 of us, and she was crocheting and I was stitching. And so I did the fill-in there. But then I had some more time as the week went on. I pulled it out again, and I said I could do fill-in, but no, I'm going to save that, you know, for like a Zoom. And I had the wherewithal and the mental space to do some counting. So I worked on the Quaker instead. And let's see, so there's 1, 2, 3, there'll be 1 more row there. There's 4 stair-stepped rows of stripes. I mean, obviously only partially, and then stars, and then it goes to the stripes on the other end of that. So I am slowly kind of filling in those Quakers. When I get the chance, I'll do the fill in of the blue, and then I'll, again, you know, start switching, and then I do have to pick a red. So this one's a lot of fun if you need just like a fill-in piece, or I actually enjoy doing the borders as well. I mean, it's a set number, and so as long as you're kind of paying attention, and as I do them, they'll start to meet up, and so it'll make sense too. So this will come out back and forth. I don't have a plan as to when this one will be finished, or, you know, saying X amount of stitches a month or the year or whatever. I think I'm just going to take it as it comes, and then at some point I'll probably kind of dig into it a bit more. I think obviously the biggest part is here, because these are all the fill-ins. Once we get here, it's a little bit faster, and obviously some of the Quakers are easier than others, right? Because they're, you know, depending on how the counting and how they're shaped and everything else. So some of them will go pretty fast, and some will be a little bit more time intensive. But I'm giving myself, it'll probably take me, what, 2-3 years would be my guess on that one, unless it became some sort of really big focus. Maybe when I finish one of my, you know, I have my 4 focuses, 1 a week each month. Maybe once one of those gets finished, Black Vintage is the closest to a finish, maybe I'll slot this one in. I mean, I've got a decent number of bigger projects, so we'll figure out which one may slot in. But that one, if I did a piece on it, a bit on it each month, a week a month, you know, 500 stitches or so, I think I could get some good progress on it. So we'll see. Okay, so before I do my riff off, I did have a finish. I'm actually going to say finish for now because I think it needs a tiny little something else with it. But I finished my 3rd trading card for the swap. Obviously, because it was already stitched for ages, but because I'm shipping them all out, I had a little bit extra time to fully finish. So this is what I have at the moment. This right here, for anybody doing the Seaside Tiny Town, you'll recognize that. I had stitched that, and then I decided I wanted to change the colors and brighten them up a little bit. So I said, well, this would be perfect for a trading card. This is stitched on Fabrics by Stephanie 18 count Nantucket Sky, which you love. And I love how it kind of looks like there's like wispy clouds in the sky. And then what I did to make the water, I actually have, I'm going to show you here. So this right here, I'm going to, first I'll take that off for a minute. It's a magnetic, I don't know if you can still get these. They were, I think it was Quick Cuts, and I used to get them on Amazon. Then they stopped selling them in white, but you could get them in black still, because I like the white because I labeled the sides. But it's basically 2 magnetic sides. So you can see here, I have a bunch of metal dies for the die cutting machines. My Big Shot is what I use. And this is in between it so they don't touch each other. And then it's great. It holds them, and they're all just standing up in one of my cubes. I don't know what happened or why they stopped making them. I don't know if Quick Cuts actually does and metal dies anymore, so that might be why. But this is the one that I'm using because this is magnetic. I thought, oh, perfect, I can show it to you this way and you can see it. So you can see here, it's not meant to be waves. It's basically a rickrack metal die. But I cut it 4 times in 4 different shades of blue, and then I used glue and glued them all together, and then I glued a different glue. For paper to paper, I used Gina K's, especially like these small. Gina K has a very small, like tipped hand one that's really great for paper to paper. And then to put the paper onto my stitching, I used Aleene's. And that works great too. But I was thinking I might put, I don't have time to get them. I was thinking it would be really cute if I had some seagull brads, you know, so it looked like seagulls were flying. But in order to order that and everything else, it wouldn't come in time. So I might just put a couple of brads in the corners just to kind of frame it out a little bit. Especially this side looks a little empty. So that might get a little bit of an upgrade, but it is almost essentially finished at that point. And I really enjoyed making the waves. I thought that was a lot of fun. So I could see, I mean, you can see how wide this is, so I can get a decent size. If I wanted to do something with a scrapbook finish, I might be able to make some waves. And I don't remember, do I have a wider? I don't. Oh, I do. So this actually came as a set of 2, so you can see this is the wider size of rickrack. So I actually could make it wider if I wanted to do a scrapbook page, if I needed bigger. So again, just like the magazine, when we looked at some of the patterns and kind of made different holidays out of them, look at your different types of tools, like your metal dies, and see what you can do with them and use them in different ways for your finishing as well. So I thought that was fun. So that was my full finish. I don't remember, let me see if I look at my book right here. So this is my journal, my planner, I guess I would call it, for this year. And that is full finish number 22 for the year. We're really way off of 55. That might be a stretch, but that's okay. No problem. All right, so then we pull out, because I have multiple planners, this is my challenge planner. So every month, for example, this was the different acrostics from June. This was my I Spy from June. So every month I create sections of all the different challenges I might be participating in, and I put the information in here so it's easy to keep track of. So Riff Off. What is Riff Off? So Whip Warriors is a Facebook group that opens in the end of November through December, and you can join, and they have all sorts of challenges and stitch-alongs and this, that, and the other thing that they do. You are required to participate, which means you have to show, and this year, they've done it differently in years. This year, you're getting a certain number of threads for the different things you do, and you have to have a certain amount each quarter. Otherwise, they take you out of the group. So, depending on how your life is, and sometimes, you know, and they're fine with if you say, life just got crazy, I'm going to have to leave. They understand. And then you can just join again the following year or whenever you want. So, this challenge, it was basically within a set number of time, and I did it Thursday night, afternoon through Sunday. How many pieces could you work on? And I chose a minimum of 200 stitches on each one, but you had to connect them all in some way or fashion. So when you do a traditional whip frenzy, there's no connection having to be made. For this, I had to connect each of my projects to the other. And so I think that's kind of fun, because it's kind of fun to see how you can come up with them. And you couldn't repeat projects unless you had stitched all of yours. And you couldn't repeat what the connection was, because that would be easy, right? You could just say birds, 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 or Christmas, 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 or whatever. But here you have to be a bit more inventive and come up with different. So I ended up with 12 connections. And the first one you saw last week was the Dance at Nightfall full finish. The theme for the challenge was sunset. My projects, some of them looked more like a sunrise, not a sunset. But I had seen somebody had used the idea of their stitch was at night, and nighttime comes after sunset. So I was like, jumping on that. Dance at nightfall, it's after sunset. So let me show you what that one looks like, just so we can kind of go from one to the next. This one right here, this is what it will look like. It doesn't look like it right now with my stitching. This is from Sunflower Stitches, if you're interested. It is from Rose Kahn, and it is her fan art homage to Court of Thorn and Roses. So, Dance at Nightfall, so the night court. So this is basically characters from a book, right? Well, the designer also thought it, but right away I thought it as well too, right? So that's where I take that. So then I found another piece that has what I feel is a character from a book, and I stitched that. And if you've watched me a while, you know this is The Love We Share, and it is charted by Stitches So Beautiful, and the artwork is by Serr, Quill ink. And as soon as I saw this one, I said, this is Violet from Fourth Wing. It reminded me of that with her dragon, one of her dragons. And so I just thought that, you know, I mean, I know it's not specific to that, and it obviously her hair is different and whatever, but it's just what I saw. So that was my connection, book character to book character. So that's what it'll eventually look like. I'm not there yet. This is what I have. And again, I kind of slapdashed some of my ironing, so it's still a little wrinkled, but that's okay. I prefer my old iron that died. I don't like this iron as much. I have to iron differently to get really good. And a lifetime of, well, I say that like I iron a lot. I don't. But a lifetime of ironing a certain way has kind of embedded itself in my kind of motor memory, so it's hard to change up. But this is where I am. You can see that's the width of my piece. This is 18 count white aida, 2 strands over 1 full cross. And I think I'm going to work on this for another couple days until the end of June. To the end of June. So 3 more days, because I haven't obviously stitched on it yet today. And I really enjoy this one. I had 2 minds. I was thinking about going all the way across, because you know I like to hit multiple corners, right? As opposed to just kind of working my way down diagonally. But I really kind of wanted to get out of the outline and get to her. And I actually think I did start, so there's a very light kind of brown right here, because the way the light is shining on her hair, the top of her head is very light, kind of brownish. So I'm almost sure this is her hair right here, the start of her. but you obviously can't tell. So what I might do at this point for the next few days is see how far over I can take this and get to my other border. I mean, the top, actually the top of it, well, I don't think I could get all the way over there, but you can see the top of, I would get some more colors in, presumably because the dragon's right there, the top of the dragon. So right now I'm in this really light kind of spot, so I might work my way across. We'll see. So this was just started this year, so I'm really pleased with the progress. I gave it, I think in April, I gave it a month's focus. And it's really nice because it's a great combination of confetti stitching and kind of more blackish areas. So I have decided, you know, it takes me 6 months to figure out these things sometimes. I'm not going to worry about if I touch every project this year, whether they're my whips in the sense of, you know, the non-full coverage or the full coverage, because originally I'm going to touch everything. I got to make sure everything has equal amounts, yada, yada. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to go with the flow. And if I like stitching on something, I'm just going to keep stitching on it. So I really do enjoy stitching on this one. So you're going to see it probably quite a bit more in the second half of the year. And I am a-okay with that. I have decided that, you know, I'm not going to make a ton of rules for myself. I am just going to kind of go with that flow. And if that means I stitch on 40 out of my 80 projects and the other 40 never see any work, that's all right. There's always a chance at some other point to work on them. I don't worry about it. So you may see several projects multiple times, including this next one, because I love this one too. So we went from the Love We Share, and that was easy. That has a dragon on it. And so I was like, okay, we'll pick a piece with a dragon. So that was the next connection. And this is my Celtic dragon. This is by 2x2 Stitch Art. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch the dragon for sure. And I'm going to do this part kind of like that moon. And I'm going to see what it looks like. And then I will make a final decision on the outer border. I love it all the way around and I think it's cool, but I really want to see what just this center. I mean, the dragon alone would be kind of cool. So if you only wanted to stitch the dragon, I think that's going to be amazing. And I'm going to do all that first. So you'll get a chance to see the dragon by itself, because I'm going to do the dragon in a slightly different color than the moon. And then I'll do this part and do that. And then we'll see. So if you're interested, but you don't want a piece this size, stay tuned, because as we go along, we'll see whether or not you want to do it just as is. I mean, because look at this dragon so far. Isn't that amazing? This is done on an 18 count Phoenix by Bestitchme. And I purposely kind of chose this, the idea of fire and dragons and so on and so forth. And on one side, this side, that is how far down it goes. I mean, there's still quite a bit in the center and the other side has to come down. But I think if you wanted to stop there, I think it's going to look amazing, especially depending on how you've chosen your fabric. And I don't know, maybe I get to that point and I say, I don't want to go any farther. We'll see. I am using a variegated floss for this. I'm using She's So Blue from Roxy Floss Co. And she is styled after Zayden's dragon. So that's why she's blue. And so, yeah. So that's that. So then where does this connection go? I looked at this and I said, well, it's a Celtic dragon. So it's Irish, right? I mean, obviously it doesn't have to be Celtic, but I mean, in my mind, I was like, okay, Celtic, I can take to Irish, I can take to Ireland. I have a piece called Ireland, so that's where I'm going next. So one last time on my dragon before she goes away. And away she goes. So let me put her. Oh, here's my dragon bag, but you know what? It's zipped, so I'm not going to unzip it at this point. I'll just leave that there. I am like a project bag user fail. I don't have that part with floss tubes down pat like so many of you do. Okay, where is my Ireland piece? Here it is. So this is charted by Vlada XStitch. I'm not stitching the word, I'm just stitching the country. And I got progress. So they all got a minimum of 200 to start with. And I tried several of them. They went closer to 250. And then when Sunday finished, in fact, I didn't start anything different. I didn't pull out any more whips after that you're going to see here that weren't either from the riff off or the Quaker flag. And I just added more stitches each day into each one of them. So some of them have 300, 400, 500 stitches in them. There's a couple that only have the 200. So that's where this one ended up. This is 18 count champagne from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And I concentrated a lot on this side right here. I'm not sure. You know, I did do a little bit here because I wanted to bring in another color and kind of start. This is a page break right here. But I thought these color blues, there's one section here that's going to be filled in, so ignore that. But I thought these kind of blues down here, they're almost tealish blues, so they're different than the sky. And I think that's really going to be lovely with the water right there. In fact, I don't have much more water to go, and then I'll be back with the green fields kind of thing. So that's what that one looks like. And I've been having fun trying to find challenges for this because I had kind of stalled because I was at a complete page break issue because it's top and bottom. It's 4 pages. So you got, here's the top and bottom page break and here's the side to side from there. So literally there's 4 pages right here in this. And so I was definitely kind of like, oh boy, and still am to a little bit. So this is why challenges are forcing me to pull this out because I would like to get this one finished. There's no reason why this one shouldn't be finished at this point. It's not that big. I was watching Thread Gremlins has just put out, let me write them down so I can link them, a new video a couple days ago, a day ago, I don't know. And they were talking about page break problems. So I could completely sympathize because this one right here has been giving me a few fits. I know there's 1 or 2 areas in the green that are wrong, but I figure it's like 4 shades of green in a field of green. So nobody's going to know that it's the wrong green in the end. And I'll kind of just make it up a little as I go. But I'm not done with their video yet, but they definitely had a segment talking about page breaks and challenges. So it was kind of fun to listen to and know that I'm not alone with my page break issues. So that's that one. Okay, so I kind of alluded to green fields. You know, this pattern in Ireland has lovely green fields. So that was the next connection I made from this project to, let me get my iPad out again. Get to my pictures, and I pulled out Minnie Watching the World Go By. It's a retired piece. It was charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artwork is by Lucy Pittaway. Now, last time I showed this, I had said because Lucy Pittaway now works with, I think it's Bothy threads. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is, and makes kits from her designs, and I didn't know if this one had been kitted, and somebody did send me, I don't know if they sent me a link or they told me there was one, and I went and I looked. It's not as detailed, and I don't know if all of them are like that because I haven't done like a side to side. So I was a little disappointed because I love the detail on this one. So I would be disappointed if I hadn't gotten this. There were some, I didn't know they were retiring and I missed it. I would have gotten some more of her patterns because I really liked kind of that full coverage look, but oh well, it's not like I don't have other things to stitch. So this is actually a picture of a completed diamond painting of it because I can't find this anymore as a stitched full coverage. So that's what it'll eventually look like. And you can see all of those lovely green fields that are in the foreground, background, the whole bit. And you can see this is the mini, and you can see it's not that bad actually. And this is where I am. Yay. I didn't really stitch much on the green fields. I think I did a little bit, but I'm also still trying to fill in the massive top here. You know, we've got a bit more blue and then it's just clouds. And the clouds do have quite a bit of changing of colors, and I wasn't thrilled with the symbols because there were some that were similar, but now with Pattern Keeper, it's okay because it just highlights the ones I'm supposed to stitch. So I'm in a much better place to get this done than I would have without Pattern Keeper. But I'm so excited to get to all of the different shades of oranges and yellows and reds for all of the different trees and just all the beautiful greens with it and so on. So this one is a fun one to stitch. I don't know. So I'm stitching the Love We Share, Violet and her dragon, through the end of the month. So that's really only 3 more days. And so I have to figure out what I want to pull out for July. This might be one of them. You might see this one again soon, because first of all, it's in regards to size of my full coverages, it's probably one of the more completable ones, right? I mean, some of them I probably will never complete, but it's the journey for me, so I'm okay with that. What was I watching, or who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody, and we were talking about this I think it was on a Zoom actually, and we were talking about this very thing, about how, you know, how many things you have started, whether or not you'll finish them. And somebody had said that they were at I think they were at a needlework store. I'm not 100% sure. Or somebody had shown them, and an individual had started a whole bunch of things and she hadn't finished them, and then she had passed on. And what her family did was they took each of them and they put them as a quilt. And, you know, obviously you have what was stitched, but then there was like a quilt, I don't know what the design is, but it was kind of quilted into the fabric part of the unstitched part. And then you had all of these beautiful pieces with partial stitches, some of it almost completely stitched, plus all of the beautiful quilting. And, you know, it was such a what a lovely gift. And those pieces may not have been finished by their loved one, but they could still appreciate and love the beauty of the pieces that their loved one took the time to stitch, because they made something like that. So I thought that was just an incredible idea. And again, I just love to stitch on them, and what gets done, and what doesn't, doesn't. And that's okay. I'm all right with that. Okay, so that one there, let me show you the picture real quick. You can, oh, I'm flipping this over. You can see all of those lovely, I think of this as like a fall scene with all of the lovely kind of autumn leaf color. So that was my next connection. What did I say with it? I said autumn colors. So we took the autumn leaf colors and we went from watching the world go by to November gnome. You haven't seen my gnomes in a while. And partly because one is a winter and one is a kind of autumny. So I haven't really stitched autumn, Christmas, or winter at all much this year. So it's time to start pulling some of them out. So this is, I think these are found now at Wonderstitch UA. They used to be on the Wonderland Ukraine site. It's the same people, but I believe they have 2 different artists that do gnomes. And I think Wonderland Ukraine has the newer artist. This is a different artist. And they are on Wonderstitch UA. And this is a set of 3. Let me show you actually, so you can see what they look like if you were interested. You get a set of 3 with the gnomes. So that's what they look like. And I am doing this one right here, if you were curious. And there we go. I did quite a bit of, for this, I was filling in hat. I think my goal when I did my whip parade at the beginning of the year was to try to get through to the nose, you know, have that all done, and probably try to square it off. That's probably halfway through the pattern. And so I need to definitely pick this up some more, but it's only June. Well, yeah, well, almost July. I guess I should say it's only July 1st almost. So I have 6 months left to go. So I think I can make some more good progress with this. I doubt I'll get a finish with it, because one of the things with this that is so cool is they use several different shades of a color. So, you know, these leaves could be 4 or 5 colors or different sections, this flower. And I really like their charting because it makes things pop, but it does mean that it's a little bit more time intensive with stitching because you are switching colors. So this is done on an 18 count. It's Buttercream from To Dye For Fabrics. And as an aside, To Dye For Fabrics right now is taking a sabbatical on dyeing. So they are not hand dyeing any fabrics. So that is my connection for autumn colors. And I forgot how much I really do enjoy stitching these gnomes. And you know, with fall is coming, right? So they'll be out again, especially this one. I have been trying to stitch them kind of in their season. So the winter gnome probably won't come out until more wintry. And then the other one I have going is St. Patrick's gnome. And just to remind you here of the full picture, because I want to show you, there is a pumpkin. And that was my next connection, was pumpkin. So let me put this away and show you. I have a lot of digitals this time around, so I need to show you the digital pattern. I started this last October, so, oh, there it would be. So I gotta scroll down a bit. In October, that's my birthday, I do a stitch along, a hashtag pumpkinbirthdaysal, S-A-L. So pretty much, whether it's a pumpkin, pumpkin colored, pumpkin adjacent, you go for it. Stitch on anything pumpkin and hashtag it pumpkinbirthdaysal. And this has been going on. I don't know if this will be the 3rd year, 4th year. I don't remember. It is ongoing forever. But this is the piece, one of the pieces I started. I start multiple ones in October. And this is Autumn Still Life and is from Owl Forest Embroidery. Now, I am not stitching with the Owl Forest threads, so I am going to have to make some thoughtful changes, because I do enjoy some of their DMC alternatives, but I'm going to show you what they suggested and what I've changed it to. I also think I may use, for the orange pumpkins, I'm going to pull out a variegated floss. So in a few different places, I might pull out some variegated flosses. And when I do, I'll list whatever that is. And otherwise, if I don't like their DMC alternative, I'll make my own. So stay tuned as we go along on that. This is where I am. So this is the piece in total. This is 18 count, what is this? Ocean Air by Fox and Rabbit. And I like the Fox and Rabbit Aida, actually. It's very nice to stitch on. It's a little bit lighter. I stitch in hand and it's still okay for me. I haven't had a problem with it. And so you can see, so I stitched on basically, for the most part, this piece right here. But if you look here, that is the DMC color that was called for with that symbol. And it is very, very bright. Excuse me. Much brighter than a lot of the other shades. And so off the top of my head, I don't remember what shade this is. When I have everything decided, I'll put it in the description box. I just don't know what I'm doing for a lot of things yet. So I am going to pull this out. I did this first before I pulled it out so I could see if I liked it. And I really do like that color, and I feel like it goes nicely with the others. So this will get ripped out. Luckily, it's a very small motif, and, you know, we'll kind of go from there. So I actually really do like that color for the sunflower. So I probably will do that centerpiece that same, and then we'll kind of figure out with the shades what to do from there. I may change a few of the, I don't know if I change any of the browns. I did pull out some kind of pumpkin-y color threads, so I might see if I can throw some of those in there. So there'll be some changes, but that's where that one is right now. The Owl Forest they're pretty easy to read, to stitch, and so on and so forth, because, you know, the different sections of some of these are all one color. So you get that little section done, and then, okay, good. Now I can change colors. There's not like, okay, see, maybe other pieces of theirs there are. The couple that I have, I can do a section and then move from there, kind of thing. Okay, so what was the next connection? Oh, okay. This one here, if you see, there's multiple birds, but there's a bird in the piece. So that's what I said for as the connection. And I took a bit of a leap, and I went to Long Dog Samplers, Fish and Ships, because you know I've got to stitch on this. This has been my daily, monthly focus, and there's a bird up there. So we kind of switch gears from kind of those autumn colors, and we go into something completely different. And that's what mine looks like so far. I have been stitching on this every single day. Well, almost every single day in June. But I have done enough to average 100 stitches a day in June. So if I have skipped a day or two along the way, I have done extra on another day. So for example, there was a day that I stitched 150. I think the last time I picked this one up the other day, I did 150 because I knew, actually it might have been yesterday, because I think today I don't know if I'll get to it because I don't get to as much stitching on filming days. So this will get at least 3,000 stitches, probably not much over, pretty close to 3,000. But hey, 3,000 stitches in the month I think is pretty good. This is being done on an 18 count fabric. It was from Dyeing for Cross Stitch, which is different than To Dye For. Dyeing for Cross Stitch is selling and hand dyeing fabrics this year. And it was part of their Black Friday pack. They had a blue-green package of 3 that they were selling, and it is one of the 3 from that. And I'm using DMC Floche for the majority of it, and any backstitching I'll use white sulky. And the Floche on the 18 count with 1 strand is looking really nice. I love the coverage. It is too thick for the backstitch because I did try some up here, and I'm not going to pull it out at this point, but it made me realize that I couldn't backstitch with it. So, yay! And I was watching Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher, and she is going to try the Floche. Nancy, there is a video by Black Ribbon Studio, is how I figured out how to cut the Floche, because I made a complete and utter disaster mess from it when I tried to do it on my own. But that video really, really helped me. I think Teresa Little Stitcher, she also has a video, and she does like hanks of, I don't know if it's silk or cotton floss, but it's kind of the same idea. The two of them kind of had the same idea, but Teresa's is a very long video because she does multiple things that she's cutting up the flosses. Black Ribbon Studio, Denise, is the one if you want a nice short compact video, and I do it exactly the way she does it, and it's been super helpful. I'm going to link both Nancy, so I'm not going to tell you what she's using the Floche on. You have to go and see. It's exciting. And then I'm going to, if you're interested in, I'm going to find the video, if I can, from Black Ribbon Studio, and I'm going to link that video. So if you are interested, I mean, I would imagine any hank of anything, you could do that way as well. Because I'm almost sure she did it specifically, the video specifically for Floche. But it's really the same concept. So I'll link both of those because it's so fun to watch other people, isn't it? So that was that project. What's my connection here? Oh, that one's easy. So this one did I just flip it upside down? Sideways. This one has, you can't see them yet, can you? Nope, because oh yeah, well, I don't know if you really call this a ship or not, but down here it's more of a ship. So that was the next connection I made from this piece to the next piece. Want to guess what it is? Oh, that would have been fun if you were like a regular stitchy friend and you were watching my videos. Could you tell when I say what the link was? So this is the one for ship, and I actually did stitch on that. In fact, I got it finished this time around. This one's getting close. Oh my goodness, it's getting close. So let me hold it up. Oh, wow. This is 18 count. There we go. 18 count Rainy Day from Bestitchme. And it was kind of like it took me months because I knew I wanted this to be my new year, new start on January of 2023. And I took 4 to 5 months and different types of fabrics to find this one. And I think this was an accident. This might have been a fabric of the month. I don't remember now. And I saw it and it was big enough, because obviously that was the other thing. I had other colors that weren't big enough. And you can see I have a little bit left, which I'm excited because I love this fabric. And on this side, potentially, depending on where it gets cut, if I have room for maybe a small trading card. But yay! So let's go down on this area here. I finished the ship, so that is completely done at this point. I did the little fish there. I am now working my way up the border. And thank you so much to the very sweet stitching friend who pointed out that I have not finished these. What I've been doing, and you'll see that, actually no, they have been filled in. What I've been doing is I'll stitch the actual flower first, and then I go back with smaller strands after I've stitched something else and done the inside. Well, I hadn't done that yet. So I think what I'm going to do, when I think I'm finished with this, I'm going to blow up the picture on my iPad, because this is a digital pattern that I have, and I'm going to go inch by inch and make sure I have everything stitched. And then I'm going to show you, and all of you, my stitchy friends who have the wonderful eagle eyes, will be able to tell me if I actually have stitched everything. I am purposely leaving one thing out, and when I get to it, I'll show you. So this point, except for the back stitch, which will happen at the end, I am working my way up this border. It's not going to be just one session, because these flowers and the leaves are, you know, X amount each time up. And I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more flowers to do, plus then the fill-in middles and everything else, and to go back and backstitch. So it's not going to be done with one more like 500 stitch session, but it's getting close. So this one is slated for a 2024 finish. I'm so excited. All right, so then what did I do? We took the balloon to make the connection to the next project, and we connected it to a balloon. Now, you know that there's a couple of options in my whips that could go with a balloon, and I went with the one that I had just recently started because it had hardly any stitching and it needed a little bit more. So this is Carolyn's Balloons Summer by Jan Hicks Creates, and I started up in this corner. And here we are. This is 18 count Lady of the Lake, and it is hand dyed by Fabrics by Stephanie. And I really wanted to, you can see I kind of skipped some of that kind of reddish and came down with one of the blue symbols because I wanted to get to the basket of the balloon to pull in another color. And I just didn't. I ran out of stitching time. I should have, I was looking at this morning, I should have stitched that one, and then I could have put in some of that yellow because I'd like to add some more colors. I was concerned about the blue, but you can see it shows up just fine, and it'll have other colors around it. This balloon right here is all blue. I don't know if it's the same shade. There's two different blues in this. I don't know if it's this shade or if it's a different one. If it fades in too much with the fabric, although it might be right here, then I'll just pick another color. But I'm using all of her DMC suggestions right now, and we'll see what happens. So that is Summer Balloons. Not super exciting, but you know, we're just plugging along. What was my connection? So at the bottom of here, you can see houses. So I was picking a house as my next connection, which, I mean, how many of our stitches have houses? That's always a good one. Because everything seems to have a house. I ended up picking, speaking of Nancy, oh, it would help if I do the right arrow. Nancy is hosting the 2024, no, Shores HRH 2024 SAL. And the way Nancy is stitching it, she's stitching it in completion. Let me show you. This is the pattern as complete. This is the version that Georgia Girl Stitching, Megan, recharted to do something a little bit smaller. And I absolutely loved it. I'm actually going to link Megan's Flosstube because she recently did a whip parade and she showed this, and she is trying to finish the center by the end of this year. So you can see it much farther along. And she's willing to share her conversions and stuff. So if you really like this version, I got overwhelmed by the size of this and just never started it. I've had it for several years. So when I saw this, I was really encouraged. And then Nancy started the stitch along. I asked her if it was okay if I stitched part of it. She said, sure. And so we did it. We started it. And so that's where I am. Now I'm not following, the stitch along is basically part of the leap year kind of idea of stitching something in 4 years. So Nancy has broken this up to make it be a 4-year project. And I mean, she said, if you want to stitch more, go for it. If you know, I mean, there's no hard and fast rule, but because mine is less, I'm not necessarily as worried about sticking to that. And so this is where I am. And This one maybe got 250 stitches. It didn't get as much as some of the other pieces. I wasn't able to get back to that one this week. Basically what I did was I kind of started from where at the beginning and started adding stitches, and I didn't get to these last few to get some more stitches in. But I did bring this down. If I look at it at this point, I'm almost at the bottom of a block here. In fact, I probably am. That might go all the way to the bottom. So now I can start working the block away this way. I added some more of the rocks. And then I kind of went through one of the yellows. It wasn't necessarily going with all of this. So I am pulling out a new yellow for some of the sun rays. So I just haven't done that yet. So I had to do a little bit of DMC pulling. I don't know what I decided on yet, but I'll let you know once I have. This is 18 count pale ale from Dying from Cross Stitch. I bought this years ago, probably not as old as this, and I basically just put them together because this was, I think this might have been big enough. No, I think this was slightly not, and I think that was part of my problem too. I thought the color went well, and back then I was kind of going by what the called fors were, not the actual, but the shade, and I really kind of liked it that way, so I did keep it that way. I could have easily done one of my favorite blues, but I decided to kind of change it up a little bit. So this one right here takes me to my very last piece, and Lighthouse was what I chose as the connection from this one to the last one you'll see. Now I had a couple choices for a lighthouse because you know I love stitching lighthouses and nautical and all of that, but I decided to go small, and this one's coming out this summer in another month anyway. This is August's Poppies from Cottage Garden Samplings. And you can see the lighthouse is there. So this one really only got about 200 stitches. It did not get a ton. I am debating. So if you have been kind of hanging out with me, you know that I'm stitching all of these. And I'm kind of playing around with doing things different with the words. And I hadn't made a decision, so that's why I didn't stitch the words this time, because I would have. That would have been a nice, easy, a couple hundred stitches. I have a couple choices. I know that DMC, I've seen people stitch with it, has a nice kind of variegated blue thread. So I was thinking of using that and just kind of seeing where it takes me, because you can see it's charted in 2 colors. I did start stitching with the lighter of the 2 blues, because back last year I was going to do it as charted. But I think if I don't do the variegated of some sort, I think I would do the darker blue, because I'm not, you'll see here, I'm not loving the lighter blue. I think I'd like to have it be a little bit darker. You can see. So I would do the words in a different, so I've got to pull those out, in other words, and do something else for the words. So this right here is a lovely little shade here of a neutral. It is Amber Waves, 18 count from Atomic Ranch. I thought, August, and we knew it would be there would be some beachy stuff. This is actually sand, and there's going to be like a shovel down here, and there's a little sailboat and the lighthouse. So I thought kind of a color that kind of mimics sand would be fun. So that's where I am right there. At this point, I have most of the border. The white is a little challenging to see, but that's all done down through here, a little bit extra. And then it's all flower. This border here on this side is mostly the stem of the poppies, and then we have flowers with stems. So we have a good portion of that, and we have the words, and maybe a sailboat, and I'm not hopeful that this will get finished in August, because I've been pulling them out the month that they're in. But I know that I'll get a good amount done. I may focus this year on the flowers. I was going to focus on the words and everything else and leave the flowers for 2025. But I think at this point, since I've started those, in August, I might focus on the poppies and then leave this section for 2025 and make that the finish then. Because then I'll have used, whether it's variegated flosses or other flosses, that much more. So it might be an easier kind of transition for me to find what I want to stitch on. So, so we'll see on that, but that's not until another month. I should have pulled out, I think it's July's Delphinium. Am I saying that right? So that will come out starting next week. I can't believe July 1st is Monday. It is amazing to me. So that will be one of my pieces in July that you'll see. We'll talk about plans right now. That takes me right into plans. So for plans, you know that I've been doing the monthly I Spy for several months now. I think because there's so much going on in July, and then the end of July into August is a really fun event out there, that I'm going to take July and August off from I Spy, because I want you to, there's so much, and I want to encourage you to kind of play around with some of those other challenges and not have to worry about fitting them into mine. In September, we're going to come back strong with I Spy, so it'll be so much fun. So we'll take a couple months off from that, and then we'll just hit the ground running for September on, and it gives me a couple months to think of some fun prompts for all of you. So keep an eye out for that later on. So no I Spy for July or August. Obviously, a lot of people are doing Jolly July or Christmas in July, and I am no different on that. I am going to try my diamond painted ornaments in July. And then I have Christmas pieces, which have seen no work this year because I just really haven't stitched Christmas. I don't necessarily care. I need a bit of my green tea here. I'm not a seasonal stitcher necessarily. I don't care when they get finished and whatever. But I just haven't been feeling the Christmas pieces. And I have 5, 6, 7, I don't remember exactly how many Christmas. They may not all get work next month because there's other things I want to do besides. But you'll see some. You will definitely see some. I think I was debating on making Christmas Town from Stitcherovia my monthly focus, and that is a full coverage, so it technically follows that kind of full coverage focus. But there is something else that I've been debating on that I want to make a focus because I kind of have to get that finished more. And those are the Carolyn Manning ornaments because I'm making those as Christmas gifts. And so they're kind of Christmas adjacent, right? Because they're for Christmas. And I'll just start, Emerald is the closest in the start of the year, then Emerald, then Peridot, then we have, I think it's Turquoise. So I may just start and do 100 stitches a day and see what I can get done because I really would like to have those as ready Christmas ornaments for this year, 2024. My backup though, what do you think about this? There's 12 kind of ugly sweater diamond painted ornaments. So if I really kind of fail on the Carolyn Manning birthstone ornaments this year, I'll give out the diamond painted ones or do some, maybe get some more other ones, I don't know, and then put 2025 as the Carolyn Manning birthstones. We'll see. I mean, I'm hopeful that they'll get done in 24, but I have a backup, so I'm not going to drive myself crazy if it's November and I have so much stitching on those ornaments to do. So that's my backup. So that's my kind of vague Christmas plans, nothing like set in stone there. And then obviously July is 4th of July, so I have a few stitches. I stitch pretty much every holiday. I don't put things out generally. They go in the scrapbook, so I stitch everything, right? And when we were doing the flip through from, I keep wanting to do this here, the summer Just Cross Stitch magazine, we had found Land That I Love, right? So this is designed by Barbie Lowe. I don't know if I'm saying that right, of Twisted Willow Designs. And so many of you said you would love to stitch it as well. So July 4th, we're starting this. It's hashtag JCS Land That I Love Sal. So if you want to join, let's do it. This model was stitched on 14 count, and it made it 10 by 7 and 5/8. I'm going to stitch it either on a 18, or I may try, I have some 20 count white. I might try that actually and do just one strand just to try something different because I've been wanting to try the 20 count on a full coverage. This piece is 140 by 107. So, I mean, it is full coverage. Every block is stitched, but I mean, it's at least manageable. So it would be smaller. It'd be kind of cute. If I did a 20 count, be like 7 by 5, 5 by, ooh, be kind of like a 5 by 7. So that's a thought, actually. I might do that. If not, my fallback is 18 count, and I have a lot of just 18 count white aida because I buy them for my full coverages, so that's not a problem. But we're starting this. If you'd like to join us, there's several of us that are going to do it, and I'd love to have you if you'd like to join. So that is a start of July 4th. And then I pulled out some things that I had thought I was going to start for July, but I don't think they're all going to happen because, you know, other things, I've already picked other things, and something's going to come out, you know, that I have to start or want to stitch. There's things that I have in my list of things to stitch, just in my, these are where I have, like, say, my hardcover patterns and then digitals. And so something, I just might, somebody might say, oh, I'm starting this. And I might think, oh, I have that. Let's start it as well. But if not, I have Freedom Quaker from the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. So that was one I was thinking of starting. And I've had to change some of Wendy's colors, but this one, I think I might be okay. I probably would do it with a very pale blue because I kind of want those colors to pop a bit. Maybe my Nantucket Sky. I'm not sure. And then I had pulled this one out for kind of like a Christmas in July. It's good and small. It's Snowman Kisses by Primrose Cottage. It's 44 by 74. So I think this one could be a lot of fun to do as a Christmas stitch, excuse me, in the month. And it's all DMC, so it'd be easy to pull. And then for summer, this is the least of the ones to get started. I'm not sure it will. Summer Corner by Madame Chantilly. I do have that. I might have the Summer Tier as well. And if you do want to see several of the Madame Chantilly tiers, again, I'm going to reference you back to Megan, Georgia Girl Stitching. She has started quite a few of them, so you'll get a chance to see them in action. But this is a thought. This is it up closer. She does it on an angle. So that possibility. And then I thought for Christmas, I have, well, as many as been pulled out. I've been collecting these from Liz Matthews. They are the, you know, the Christmas, 12 Days of Christmas samplers and trees. And I am going to, my plan is to stitch all 12 of the samplers, and I'll put them as a collection in a scrapbook. And I wanted to do various shades of green, I think, for the fabrics. I wanted some sort of cohesiveness, but they're not all out yet. So I keep hemming and hawing as to whether or not I want to start them before they come all out, because I don't know if I want to do one green for all of them or if I want to do. So I think that is these two are the least likely, the 12 Days and the Madame Chantilly corner to be started. These two have a good shot for possibility, especially this one, because that's good and small, because I am doing this patriotic one as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I just figured I'd pull out those. I think I'm going to put a couple of those away that I know I'm not going to stitch because I have other things to stitch. And something always seems to come up, right? So let me look at my plans. No I Spy, 4th of July start, Christmas in July. Oh, and then one of the other reasons why I'm not doing I Spy is at the end of July, you know, the Olympics start. And is it the nap time stitcher? I should have written down what the hashtag probably is. I think it's Nap Time Stitcher on Instagram. And she did this for the Winter Olympics a few years ago, and I had so much fun with it. So when I found out there was going to be a Summer Olympics one, I was all in. And so each day through the entire length of the Olympics, there is a prompt. And they're pretty, I've looked at the prompts. I can find projects for all of them. I'm pretty sure. If not, I mean, I have some plan starts for August. I'm sure I can fit something in here or there. So that is going to be, I'm going to start that at the end of July as well and work my way into August, a good portion of August with that. So that's also going to be super fun. So check that out. I'm sure many of you, I've seen a lot of people on Instagram saying they are participating. So it's going to be so fun to see everybody's take on that. So that's it for plans. Okay, Happy Mail. I am going to do, I got 2 pieces of Happy Mail that are just amazing. And so I need to say huge thank yous. First, I had gotten an email from Sally. She was so cute. She said, you know, she's bought an awful lot of things, more things than she's going to use in her lifetime. And she was starting to feel guilty for some of it. And so could she send me some fabrics, because she had 18 counts and some other, and some just other stuff. And I said, absolutely. You know, I mean, I love sharing with all of you if there's things to share. And I always love a good 18 count fabric, you know me. So I said, absolutely. This weekend, this week, Mo and I were out somewhere, and we came home and we saw this box on the front stoop. And I was saying to Mo, I don't know what I ordered. Do you know what you ordered? And he said, no, I don't know. And now that's no guarantee that I didn't order something, because I just don't remember at the time. So he pulls the box in and he's like, it's a really big box. And so I'm not going through this box but let's see if I can even hold it up. This box came from Sally. And, oh boy, Sally, you are amazing. And a couple things I did want to show. When I have this really great memory of a trip to London. And when I start stitching this, I will tell you about that trip. I might have to pull out the scrapbook too, because you can see young Laura in this one. But I've wanted to stitch this from Satsuma, so thank you. This is Pretty Little London, and there are hugely happy memories with that trip. So this is perfect. And then I had never seen this one before. It is from Samplers and Such, I guess, and it's Quaker Style Friendship Sampler. And you know how much I love Quakers. So I think this is in it's in two different colorways. And I don't know, this is beautiful this way, but I could also see picking my own kind of monochromatic and going crazy with that too. Or I could even see some of these Quakers are kind of cool on their own. So I thought that was really neat. There were a few other patterns as well, but I just want to show you some highlights of what she sent. And then she sent me some fabrics. There are a couple counts that I won't use, so they will be shared with all of you down the road. But I wanted to show you, now everything is in plastic, so I'm just going to keep it. There's just a variety too. So we have Mystic Fabrics, which is pretty. We have, of course, if anything blue with Bestitchme. So yay! This is a fabric flare, which I really like that color. It's a taupe, but it kind of almost looks pinky. So that's so fun. A little fiber on a whim. And then I have found an appreciation for Rustico. I am stitching a small my turkey on it, and I actually really, really enjoy it. So that was fun to see. So that was really, really fun. Amazing to go through the package. But the very best part of the package, I saved for last because I want to show you. So Sally did say to me, she's like, would it be okay if I sent you a couple of my pieces? Would you be willing to put them, kind of scrapbook them for me? And then, send them back. And I said, as long as you're okay with, I'm a little wonky with my cutting. So as long as you're okay with that, then I would be happy to do that for you. And so I asked her, could I show? She sent me 2 pieces. I'm going to keep them they're in plastic bags, and I'm going to keep them that way because I want to keep them pristine. And so this one, my guess is it might be it looks like caterpillar cross stitch, doesn't it? Look at how beautiful that is. What a awesome fabric she chose. And it's all the different words. It's got to be caterpillar, right? Because there's a whole series of these that she's done, like with the house and other things. Isn't that beautiful? I cannot wait to see what I can do with that. And then the second one is she stitched, this would be Stitching Mommy. She stitched a temperature chart from 2023. And so she sent me that to scrapbook as well. So aren't those beautiful? And this one right here, actually, that might be the Rustico. And look at how gorgeous it looks on that. Really neat. So thank you so much, Sally, for trusting me with your pieces. They are beautiful, and I loved seeing them. And we will chat about what you want out of them, and we'll see what we can do. Yay! That is the best part. I love seeing people stitching. It is amazing. So that was the first piece of Happy Mail. The second, I didn't know, I had gotten, again, the kindness of people is just so amazing. And this is going to make me cry because it was very thoughtful what she did. I had heard from Tammy. Tammy has a Flosstube channel. It's So Fly's Unique Boutique. And I'm going to show you her card in a minute. And she had reached out and said, you know, would it be okay if I sent you a little happy mail? And I said, sure. That's really nice of you. Thank you. And, you know, then you kind of, you know, you forget or whatever. And so, excuse me for a second. I just want to pull something out. And in the mail yesterday, this came yesterday, and it is so thoughtful what she ended up doing. So first off, I open up the package, and so this is kind of like a bag that has like Velcro, and Tammy makes these. Now, Tammy just put out a video, I think it was, well, when I was getting ready, it was 9 hours ago. Let me write down that I have to link Tammy. So I have not seen her newest video. It's going to be on my to-watch list. But look at the design. So when for those of you who are new, because it's been 2 years now since we lost Shamrock. Shamrock was my little buddy. He was a Havanese, and he died young for a little dog. He didn't make it quite till 12, and he was ill for a couple years. He had a disease, but he was a trooper. Anyway, when he didn't have his hair cut, because we did like to do the shorter puppy cut, but of course it would get longer. And this reminds me, he would get so foofy and everything else. So this, first off, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a bag that just reminds me of Shamrock. I can't believe it. So then the bag was a little bumpy. There was a lovely little card from her. And then along the lines of Shamrock or whatever, she had hand dyed a piece of 18 count fabric. And it says Rick dyed emerald. And she dyed it herself. So of course, along with the whole Shamrock and green theme. Isn't that beautiful? That's amazing. I don't think Mo will let me pull out Rick dye. I am notorious for making a huge mess when I craft. And I could just imagine what hand dyeing fabric. Carla, again, if we go full circle to Carla being crafty, I know Carla she uses pickle jars to hand dye. If I'm ever going to jump into something like that, Carla, I might have to reach out to you, because I think Mo might be able to handle me putting something in a pickle jar. But if I put stuff everywhere and make messes, our poor kitchen. And then the very last thing, which I'm going to try not to cry. She stitched up this little doggy, and she put a little Shamrock, so it's on the green, and she put the little Shamrock charm with it. And it's finished in the hoop, and it's gorgeous. And this is going up immediately. Tammy, how thoughtful. How thoughtful you were. You know, and thinking of me and what you did. So thank you. That is amazing. Okay. Anyway, let me show her card, because she is amazing and very talented. Her hand dyeing is beautiful. The bag is gorgeous. I don't know if it'll come up. I'll link her down below too, and I will put her Gmail address as well. Okay. I was going to say you touched my heart, and then I'm going to start crying again, but thank you. That was just amazing. Shopping, except for the Just Cross Stitch magazine, I have nothing. So we can just zip right by that part, which is great. Okay, and I'm going to try to stop crying now. With the happy part, we're at giveaways, so I got to stop crying. So last week, and I didn't pull it out because this thing is not out of the bag or anything. It's still got my buying tag and everything. Plum Street Samplers Christmas Mini Moon. I asked you to say moon, and I picked a winner. And let me pull that up. So because everything has been a disaster, and I've been focusing on the trading cards, and everything is everywhere, my pile of giveaways has not been shipped out. So if you're waiting on a giveaway, I know. I'm looking right at them. They're all right here, all in the pile with that. So I'm thinking we're going to do trading cards first, and then we have to tackle giveaways. So it's coming. I haven't forgotten about you. And I have everybody's gotten back to me with addresses. I think it's all kept in one spot. If I've lost somebody, I'll reach out to you, but I think we're okay. The winner this week for the Mini Moon, the Plum Street, is Jessica Maslovsky. Congratulations, Jessica. If you could get back to me, I think confirm your address for me, please. I'm not sure I still have it. but congratulations on winning the Christmas mini moon. Alrighty, so we'll put that there. Now, this next one has a tiny bit of writing on the inside where the, because I used this, I stitched it, and I meant to pull it out to show you my stitched piece, but I forgot. And I'm not gonna stop and everything else at this point. I don't edit. We just roll. I stitched this ages ago, and I stitched this back when I was following the fabrics, I was following the flosses. I wasn't changing things. I mean, I generally didn't use, because this was probably stitched on it was stitched on a 35 count. So I know I wouldn't have sit, but I kind of did the same tones. But I have this wordplay. It's the July one, July wordplay from, oh, is it Brenda Gervais with the Needle and Thread? Who's the official? It doesn't say. Let's see on the back if it says what it came out of. I had gotten it from Country Stitches, so that's with Thy Needle and Thread. It's Brenda Gervais. So anyway, you've seen them. For a few years ago, when I first started back, I started back late 2019 and into 2020, and everybody was stitching these at that time. And then they've kind of, you don't see them very much anymore. But this is the only one I've stitched. I do have other ones. I may or may not stitch them, or I might just give them away. Now, what I wanted to say though, because back then, this was charted in all, what's the floss? It doesn't say readily available, which it's a variegated floss. Oh, weeks, 1 weeks, and all the others are gentle art. At that point, I definitely was not using any variegated, and I wouldn't necessarily, if I was to stitch these now, they're small, so I wouldn't anyway. So I did write my DMC versions on this. This was back before I was doing anything working copy. I would never do that now. But I do want to show you that I did do some writing. That's the only thing I've written on. The pattern itself is pristine. I'm obviously not going to show you that. And that's the only part. So if that bothers you, obviously, then, don't put your name in. But if you would like to put your name in for the July wordplay from With Thy Needle and Thread, say the word parade. You can see there's the word parade right there. Say the word parade, and I will pick a winner. Obviously, you probably won't get this one before July is, near the end, by the time we pick a winner and I ship and everything else. But, it's there if you would like to do it. And, it's kind of fun because you can pick and choose. You can use some of those motifs for other things, right? So, anyway, say the word parade. And, I'll put that in the plastic later. I won't waste your time right now doing that. And then I will pick a winner on that one next time around. So that's it. That's all my stitching. So thank you so much if that's all you're here for. I appreciate you taking the time to stick with me and so on and so forth. I'm trying to think. There wasn't much that has gone on. This week I had physical therapy yesterday, and I'm very sore today. We're still working on, we're working on being sore, not in pain. I should say I'm in pain today. But like the physical therapist said, he said, it's going to take some time. Right now your body knows soreness, but it is reacting to it as a pain as well because of where I am physically. So we just do the best we can. My walking looks a little silly when I can walk. I tried last night. I pulled out the cane and I did a little walk in the neighborhood, but I overdid it, as I have a tendency to do. And then I was really sore last night. So I'm my own kind of worst enemy when it comes to that. And so, I just got to learn, right? One of these days I will learn. So I had the physical therapist. I had the dentist. Luckily, yay, my teeth are fine. I have another appointment in 7 months, but until then we're good. So, that's always a good thing. I am sad though, because my dental hygienist, I've only been to her a few times because we've just changed practices. She's retiring. She was super, super nice. And so the next time I have a cleaning, it will not be with her. So that's pretty sad. I'm sure whoever I have, I don't know who it is, will be lovely. But, a good dental hygienist, makes the whole thing go by that much easier. So that's a bit of a sad thing. And next time I come to you, it'll be the 5th of July, right? So July 4th is a Thursday. I don't think we have huge plans for the holiday or the weekend or anything like that. I'm going to take it as it comes. So I think I should be fine coming to you next Friday morning. In fact, probably, because Mo will be taking the day off from work and he's going to want to do pickleball. So I can guarantee it'll be a perfect time for me to film. So, if you're kind of hanging out over 4th of July weekend and it's hot, or you're looking to just stitch inside and you want to hang out with me, I should be back next week. And hopefully I won't cry. Anyway, yeah, so not huge things going on. We're just plugging along. I'm of 2 pieces of mind. So I'm going to physical therapy, and yesterday, you know, he said my range of motion has increased quite a bit. I'm not walking properly yet. I'm not using my arms properly yet. So there's a lot of things I have to work on, but he said I have increased range of motion. And with the weather nice, I kind of want to go out and do things, but I'm not at 100% that level yet. I actually probably would be doing much better if it was cold and wintry and I wouldn't want to go out, because then I would just do my exercises, which I do, but then I wouldn't push it in other ways. I'm kind of pushing myself. So I'm 54 years old. You'd think I'd have learned by now, but you know, lifetimes, right? Habit of lifetime of habits. That's what it is. You kind of, you know, and it's so nice. And the heat has kind of broken. It's beautiful. I think today it's only supposed to be in the 70s. And so, of course, I want to go out and about and everything else. I just have to be smart about how I do it. And so I still have to learn. But, you know, it's kind of what you kind of have to learn about yourself. And everything is different each and every day because we all change and this and that. So what I could do 20 years ago, I have to learn that I can't do that now. And I have to figure out the proper way to do it. So, but I'm getting there, and I will continue to do my exercises, and hopefully I will be zipping along by the end of the summer. Or we'll know that I need to reevaluate. It's very hard to get doctors down here. Your primary care, you can get specialists, but I have been over 2 years on a wait list for a new doctor, and this is something that my 20-some-odd-year-old friends would never understand. Because it's like when you get to be in your 50s, you really need to start seeing doctors a lot, right? You see every other specialist and everything else. And you have to have that yearly physical and yada, yada, yada. So to be able to switch doctors, because I really am not a fan of the one I have, is like a reason to jump for joy. So I meet with the doctor next week. And then, because they do kind of like a let's get to know you kind of thing. And then they schedule the physical. So I'm super excited. That's like a highlight of my week next week. It's meeting a new doctor. But, you know, hopefully he comes very highly rated. And so far my dealings with the office everybody's been so nice. So I have high hopes. So we'll see what happens. So hopefully the combination of him and my therapy and doing my work, then we are hopefully in the right direction. Or he'll be in a place to tell me that we got to think about things. So anyway, that's about it. I hope you have a fabulous week, no matter what you're doing and where you are. Excuse me, if you do celebrate 4th of July, I hope it's a safe one. Don't play with fireworks. And, you know, if you do have pets, I am so sorry when it comes to this coming week. Shamrock did not like fireworks, and it was a very tough time. So many little ones. I don't know if cats are sensitive. I only know about dogs, but our little puppies just do not seem to like those. So if you do have a pet, then I'm thinking about you, because I know exactly what we used to go through that week when all of that, people would pop them off all the time and everything else. And it was just this constant noise. So I hope it's okay. But I hope you're well. I hope you're safe. Hope you're getting some stitching in, whatever that happens to be. And thank you so much, as always, for being here with me. You know, especially that I appreciate you incredibly. And I want you to know that you are special as well. Please remember to take care of yourself. self-care is not selfish. It is so, so important, and you are important. So take that time, and until next time, happy stitching.